Hi everyone, Rebecca here. And today I have more previews, reviews, and things you can use for teaching and learning ESL online. And by ESL, I mean English as a second language, everybody. So today's review is onestopenglish.com. Something for the grown folks, something for the grown and wanting to learn English folks, because they've got a lot of great adult materials. But let's go to my rundown. Oops. Okay, sorry. Sneak peek, we're doing epic. Anyways, okay. So first, let's talk cost. Okay, it's free to a point. So they remind me a lot of the New York Times. I don't know how the New York Times knows when and what I'm reading, but they do. And if you read too many articles, they make you stop. And that's how it is on One Stop English. So you do get to, the good news is you do get to use and interact with some material before you have to commit to paying for an account. Um, but when you do have to pay for it, it's only $28 a year, not a month, $28 a year. So that's definitely a price that is more than worth what you are getting. Okay. It's just more than worth it. Um, when we hop on the site later, you'll see like the Macmillan Education logo in the corner. So this is a branch of Macmillan Education, and it's a very well done site. Okay, so they offer materials for adults and children alike. In my opinion, I typically use the adult and young adult materials and use other materials for primary and elementary students. So I get my primary and elementary student materials elsewhere usually. How to use in class. I screen share the recordings, or I'm sorry, God forgive me, and I cannot stop and redo anymore, guys. Sorry. So you're gonna have to deal with that little hiccup. So how to use in class. Screen share the readings on Zoom, use annotation tools to make notes when doing the vocabulary exercises, and maybe even more. If the student has questions about what they read, you can make little notes custom to them using the annotation tools. Just click save on the annotation toolbar, and you'll end up with a picture, like a file in the form of a picture that you can send them. So how to share. Okay, all of the items I have used can be downloaded and attached as PDFs. So they're really easy to share. Okay, the best part for me is adult materials that are leveled and differentiated. So we have a lot of adult students that are very advanced. And to be honest with you, sometimes we're teaching them and we think, wow, this person has really reached a very high level of English. How can I possibly help them get any better? Well, they have something for students like that. Then we have some students that are maybe advanced beginner and going into the intermediate territory. They have things that are in the adult interest areas. So like news articles that are labeled beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So that has been really great for me and my adult students. So here are some highlights. The Guardian news articles. People might be thinking Ingu. Why am I not just using Ingu? Because Ingu is free. Well, Ingu is great, but if you have students that meet with you on a regular basis for 50 minutes instead of 25 minutes. If they want to commit that length of time to learning, I think it's better that I give them something that's a little bit meatier than Ingu. Ingu is great, but these articles are a little bit more in depth. Sherlock Holmes, they offer some Sherlock Holmes materials that I have used and loved. They have the Norwood Builder, the Second Stain, and A Scandal in Bohemia. These are aimed at maybe middle schoolers to early high schoolers. And of course, we get a lot of students that are seeking us out because, they really love learning and I don't want to slap a label on them, but they're kind of overachievers, okay? Which that's not a bad label to slap on someone, but I don't know, for some reason I feel weird saying it. But so definitely, I've definitely done these with overachievers, okay? And so I've done these with kids who are younger. than middle school. And then we have global critical eye. That is an interesting material. I would say it's best for people who really want to focus on speaking, and also best for adults. Again, it's definitely an adult focused material. They have idioms, vocabulary, and conversation guides around certain topics. Like they have one on stress, they have one on shopping. They just have a lot of topics that really lend themselves to adult learners. Next, we have Business Spotlight. I have used Business Spotlight a little. I'm not an expert using Business Spotlight because when I have used it, it was a little, that's one where you're not guaranteed to really get the levels, beginner, advanced, intermediate. So some of them have been a little bit too challenging for the people that I thought about using them with. Um, I might have skipped over something super interesting. Sorry, right above Business Spotlight, ESP, English for Specific Purposes. So they do have like English for job interviews. I even saw an article today when I was searching around English for the scientific method. So every once in a while, I get a student that has a very specific need for why they're learning English. The last student I had with a specific need was someone who from Taiwan who was moving here with her family, and she was also getting a job. And, she's in the airline industry. She just wanted to really focus on customer service and having conversations with customers and clients in the business environment. And then finally, I have selections. Okay, so I mentioned that I don't typically use this site with elementary school students or primary school students, and selections is kind of one of the um, times I have. So I just was searching this site after joining, trying to find kid-friendly material, and just from, months and now probably years of teaching. I've taught longer than that, but maybe just for the last couple years, I have been responsible for all my own material. That was kind of a journey. I enjoy selections. It's not a big selection, okay, of readings. I think they're excerpts of larger books that Macmillan Education puts out. So, and unlike The Guardian, they don't replenish. It's kind of the same articles there since I've become a member. But we can take a look at one and talk about a little bit more. Okay, so anyway, let's hop into the actual website and we'll take a look. Okay, first is the home page. Okay, so this is where my account is, where the login is and everything. And you can make a saved article list, and I would recommend you do that because this website is so huge. And there are many times where I swear I'm typing in the right search terms, I'm typing in the right title, and I'm not getting my material. And I think it could be with so many things, sometimes it just short circuits a little bit. So if you like something, definitely save it. And the homepage is great because I can actually give you an example. I told you about all those different types of articles. So once you know like the type of article you like, ESP, The Guardian, Spotlight on Business, here they have business news lesson, you can just search those keywords. However, sometimes looking at the cover page will lead you to something you weren't looking for. So here's International Women's Day, and it's just not in any of their, little sub groups or whatever. It was just sitting there on International Women's Day, and it turned into a great material. So it has an intermediate and an upper advanced option. We'll look at some other articles that have more options, like they have an elementary option. But if you take a look at this, you can kind of get a feel for how great these lessons are. So you get a little planning page as a teacher. Then this is their warm up. Write the name of a well-known female for each category. Well, that was really great considering, I'm from America and my students are from, Hong Kong, Taiwan, I have a few from other countries. So we got a variety of different people there, and I think we learned from each other. Keywords. Okay, here comes the vocabulary. As you can see, it's thorough. It, gives you a little bit more to work with than maybe an Engo article. The article itself, comprehension, and then just a cool discussion. It's Women's Day, so which of the women noted in exercise one, like your list of famous women, would you like to have tea with, spend a whole day with, say thank you to? And then they have questions for a special woman. Like, what if you got to spend a day with Oprah Winfrey? What would you ask her? Okay, for example. All right, well, let's move on to The Guardian, the crown jewel of this website, as I see it. Okay, so we have a few articles previewed here. Meat, dairy, and rice production will bust 1.5 C climate target, shows study. Okay, so if you're not interested in that, not saying that I'm not, but if this is not the type of article you like to teach, or you think maybe your students wouldn't be interested, they have some newsy articles like this. Then they have, some that are a little bit more, like, I don't want to say pop culture, but they have some health articles. This one was an interesting one. A Japan PM solution to dire birth rate has already been rejected by the young. That was really interesting. And also because Japan is not the only country that's experiencing a low birth rate. So it's something that our clients can really, um, even if they're not, I keep saying clients, I used to be a social worker, student can really relate to, because it could be going on in their country as well. Social media. This one is time to stop filming strangers in public for social media thrills. This was an interesting one. This one was probably the best one that I've seen, because it's definitely something that gets everybody talking. It's definitely something that you don't need a lot of background. We are dealing with students from other countries. So some of these, like the thing about Pablo Neruda, okay, well, that's interesting, but we're Western Hemisphere people. I don't know. Maybe that's why we know who he is and we're somewhat interested. But they might not know who that is. Okay. So like, health is something we can all relate to. Okay. And we'll take a look at one of these for an example. Okay. So already we're looking at all these choices. Okay. We've got an advanced, we've got an intermediate, we've got an elementary. So most of my students I do use intermediate with. And there is a teacher's note. Not super necessary, got to be honest. Let's see. Here's the actual work. And when they say worksheet, what they mean is it's the article itself and the activities. So here's the article, comprehension check, and even before you start, you have this very useful vocabulary activity. So you have your keywords. You can plug the keywords into the appropriate definitions. You can challenge your student to make their own sentences. If they just seem like they're a little bit lost on one of these words, you can make your own examples. They can make their own examples. It's just a great material. All right, you guys. Okay, so let's hit up some Sherlock Holmes. Okay, so we got Scandal in Bohemia. Okay, so these definitely save them. Okay, I can't believe I haven't saved this one. Um, anyway, this one was hard to find because Sherlock Holmes is not even in the title of the way they have it typed out. So when you type in Sherlock Holmes, this one doesn't come up for some reason. So that's why I'm like, that's kind of the shortcoming, if there is one, of this site. Just save your articles that you want, save them in PDF form, because you may lose them. Okay, so here's an example. We definitely have some teacher's notes. But then they have something cool like this where you get to describe a picture from the story and kind of predict what it might be about. We've got some grammar here. Write the comparative forms of these adjectives. they have listened to the beginning of the story. So if you go back to the page we were just on, you'll see there's MP3 files for these stories. Since, the way we're formatted, I don't know if it necessarily makes sense for us to listen to a long audio. So I usually read the story with my student, and if you keep scrolling, they always have the story written. Even though a lot of the activities reference listening to it, you can always read it instead. Um, a grammar check, it's just like it's interesting reading. Students will not get bored with this one. They'll be intrigued, but you're still getting some work done, when it comes to grammar, vocabulary. Let's see, we even have a glossary. Well, darn it. Just the perfect material. Okay. And okay, so moving right along, let's check out another thing they have to offer. Okay, so we'll go to a global critical eye. Okay. So again, these are focused on adults. So here we go. Global critical eye on your soapbox. In this lesson, students learn different expressions related to discussion and debate. It usually comes with a photo, and they reference the photo in the worksheet. And you can also, just describe the photo with your student. Um, so that's global critical eye. Maybe we could look at another one as well, just so you can see just more than one example. Because to be honest with you, debate, first of all, I haven't done that one. Sorry. I'm just getting tired. These early hours, it's like, dang, you get pretty tired by now. Um, okay. So like, let's see. Stressed out. This was a good one. Okay. So you have a picture to describe, and they keep the picture pretty like simple, which I guess is good because it really has the student kind of digging and like looking for details, and they don't have like just a whole bunch of stuff they can rattle off. They really have to think. And the lesson plan is really interesting. It just gives you some hints for um, conversation on the topic. With a partner, write a definition of the word stress. Can you think of at least 3 situations where you might hear someone using the expression stressed out? Um, so this has really been neat to use. I mean, I've used them a few times. They're pretty good. And see, they even have it labeled upper, intermediate through advanced. So that's global critical eye. Okay, so let's type in ESP. So this is English for specific purposes. Let's see. Oh, ESP, the future of computers. So that might be really useful for some of our adults that are in that field. ESP, marketing research, scientific method, hospitality and tourism. Okay, so this is one I've used, and this was really great. So the way they have it laid out is it's an interview with a hotel manager. Okay. And the blank is, oh wait, this one's a little bit different. Okay. This wasn't the one I used, but this still looks pretty good. So this is about guest complaints. I've done a different one on guest complaints. Let's see. I know I need to wrap this up. I am such a rambler and I just can't stand it. I want to make shorter videos, guys. I do. Okay, here's my ESP, hospitality and tourism. So this was so neat. It was an interview with the hotel manager, and the questions are blank. So you read the answer and then you come up with what the question was. So I really enjoyed doing this, and I did it with several students. I got it because one of my students did want to work in the customer service field here in the US, but it was so interesting that I used it with, other students just to help them, think of questions. Sometimes forming a question in English can be difficult. Okay. So last stop on our tour of One Stop English. Selections. Okay. So just a word on why I haven't been real into their offerings for kids. It just seems like um, I'm just into a lot of other resources that are kid friendly. So I end up really leaning on One Stop English for adults. However, when I was looking for interesting readings to do with kids that, had activities, ready made, to go along with them, I did use these. And it took me a long time to find them. So that's why I would really recommend you just or not Google, type into their search engine selections. And like I said, this is a Macmillan Education Company. I think these selections are from their textbooks, you know. So I did Hurricane Helen before. It was a great one. It was fun. We talked about why you would call somebody a hurricane, right? We talked about real hurricanes. I paired this with a ReadWorks test. So yeah, so it's from a textbook called Selections. And I paired it with a ReadWorks text that was a nonfiction on hurricanes. So, just type in if you want to. If you join this site and you just want to use it to its fullest, type in selections and get some kid-friendly, elementary, primary school materials. Okay, guys, I think I pretty much said what I had to say about One Stop English. I've enjoyed using it. I recommend it. It's worth the $28 a year. Okay, so hope I helped some folks today who were looking for resources. Happy teaching, and thank you for watching my video. Bye-bye for now.